What's up? Welcome to episode number 141 of the People We Love podcast. I am Adam Choit. If you're new here, what I do is interview people from all walks of life, most often comedians, other creative types, about their lives and careers. The conversation is casual, but I also ask everyone to highlight the people they love, who they admire, who've influenced them, inspired them, supported them. For more, check out peoplewelovepodcast.com, at People We Love Podcast on Instagram, on YouTube. Just search People We Love Podcast. Pretty easy to find. If you're watching, you are already there, so please be sure to subscribe. AdamChoit.com for all my other projects and personal stuff that I'm working on. At Adam Choit on Instagram and Twitter is my personal pages for those sites. So for today, we have Texas-raised, Los Angeles-based stand-up comedian and writer Dwight Pryde. And I'm taken from his website here. He's got a flair for taking a negative situation or event and turning it into a funny negative situation or event. I got to read closely. Also a proud father. Per his website, he bombed 33 times in a row when he started out doing stand-up comedy, and then something magical happened. He bombed again. But Dwight is a hilarious dude, so let's just get started and bring him in. Here's Dwight Pryde.
Hey, what's up, man?
Oh, there
what's
he
up?
is. There he is.
Hilarious. That's me. First, we're just gonna explain why I'm in the kids' room. All right. I have two boys. Two boys. All right. Just I don't want people to look at this and be like, is this his room or is he holding kids hostage?
Right. I did say proud father or father, but
Okay.
that could still be your room, and it could still be weird. There's room for weirdness, nonetheless.
That's true, but it's awesome room for a 5-year-old, just not me. And people will look at me and say, "You have kids? You look happy."
Yeah, young and happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got.
That's more of a Los Angeles thing. Maybe in other places around the country, like.
Yeah,
it's not as surprising. Those glow in the dark, those stickers over your right shoulder.
Oh yeah, they glow in the dark.
I need to get back into that. How are you holding up during whatever year this is?
Everything's going great, man. Stand-up comedy is a marathon, not a sprint. That's something that I've learned. Just every day is a new day. If you do great on a set, the next day that doesn't even matter anymore. It's what can you do new? Well, and if you do bad on a set, doesn't matter. It's a new day.
We'll dive in on all this stuff, but it does force you to have like a rebound quality, like able to deal with these failures and setbacks, like a recovery, like able to bounce back and not get too highs from the highs and too lows from the lows. Or do you get too high from the highs and too lows from the lows?
Yeah, I'm a dynamical person, if that's even a word. I don't know, I feel like I made that up, but then again, it sounds real. Yeah, I'm extreme. I'm either this way or I'm either this way. I'm never in the middle.
I know, and I feel like I'm the same way, and I think that maybe that's like an artist, creative type anyway. Like everyone knows, you don't want to get too high from the highs and too lows from the lows. It's good to control your emotions to a degree and be even keeled in all these things. And even if you act outwardly like with that in mind, inside you feel, oh man, I'm getting excited about XYZ, or this right now sucks, and it's hard for me to see beyond whatever struggle it is. It's weird,
but
like
you know what does help me? I watch a lot of like those self-motivation videos and listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff about self-motivation. You got to get in there and you got to do it. I'm one of those guys, the alpha podcast guys, I guess.
I dabble in that world a little bit too.
Yeah, and that kind of grounds me because it's like coaching every day. Because to me, that's what a coach does. It kind of grounds a athlete.
It's interesting you say coaching, because what I was thinking of, and this is something we all need, is really cheerleaders, and that's encouragement. Coaching, I guess, is just a more specific type of cheerleading, a direct, like the more directional, more hands-on cheerleading, or has more of an effect on the direct results of life. But why don't we get into your life, and you could tell me about your background and where you're from and where you grew up, and like even earliest memories and kind of some family stuff, whatever you'd like to share, and we'll dive into the real early, even like before kindergarten. I'll let you kind of get into your story.
Me just born in Frankfurt, Germany, military kid. You know how that goes. And I have a older sister, and we moved back to the United States. You know, about 15 months. Moved to Texas, and my mom gets a call a month later. Father passed away. Crazy, right? All right, so she has two kids, a 5-year-old and me, a 15-month-old, dead husband now.
Damn, I'm sorry.
In another country. Like, it happened, he died in Frankfurt, and we had just moved to the States. And yeah, so that was I remember I asked my mom, I said, how did you deal with that? You know, like, how did you deal with that? Like, did you cry? Which is a dumb question now that I think about it. But, you know, I was like 17 at the time I asked her. And I was like, were you sad? Like, because my mom became pretty successful. Like, so I'm like, man, that would be a setback for the average person. And I asked her, how did you get through it? She said, I had two kids to raise. I didn't have time to cry. She said, I just got on my grind. And that was like just a whole different mentality for me. Like, that's what I came from. Like, someone who's like, I cried in the darkness, like by myself where no one saw me, but I did what I had to do for two kids. And, you know, I went to school in Dallas. I have an older sister. I didn't get into the arts, like comedy and stuff, until I moved to LA, which was only 6 years ago.
I gotcha. What's interesting is I was reading your bio on your website 2 minutes before we started recording, because I like to leave my homework to the last minute. And you were telling, I'm guessing I think it said you were in an acting class, and you were telling probably this story, I'm guessing. And you're like kind of like, not, I guess, smiling. You're kind of like telling the story with enthusiasm in like a stand-up comedy kind of cadence. You kind of like speak naturally in perhaps like a stand-up comedian kind of cadence. So I could totally see why your teachers, like, you know, encouraged you to go in that direction after telling this tragic story with kind of a stand-up comedian tone. But maybe that's just you. I don't know you super well or anything.
I haven't told you the story. The story that I told in class that day, and that was like the caveat, you know, like the thing that happened that made the catalyst. That was the catalyst
to push you into stand-up comedy. I assumed it had something to do with the story that you just told me about your mom. Related.
Okay, so the story is don't tighten up on me, bro. Everything's fine. I'm a cool person. Don't tighten up. I don't want you to be like, it's mom and dad died.
What's that?
No, I don't want you to tighten up on me. But everything's funny. Like, I take negative situations and make them funny. So the story is, I was wearing a Susan G. Komen t-shirt. You know, it says "Real men wear pink." You know, it's a breast cancer awareness shirt. Yeah. And so I was here in LA at a Food for Less or whatever, and a lady came up to me and was like, I love your t-shirt. Who do you wear it for? And I told her I wear it for my mom. And she said, that's a beautiful narrative. And I could tell she was going through treatment. She had a scarf on, you know, the telltale signs. And she said, well, I can tell by the fire in your eyes that your mother is a strong and beautiful woman, and she'll pull through whatever situation. And she asked, do you mind if I ask you what stage is she in? And I said, the stage is rigor mortis. And she kind of looked at me, was like, that's not funny. And I was like, well, mom wasn't much of a fighter. She gave up kind of quickly. And I walked away.
Wait a minute. Your mom is alive.
No, she's not.
Oh man. Oh
Yeah,
man.
no, she's not. But I told that story in acting class, and the teacher laughed because he was like, I did not see that ending coming, like rigor mortis. And, he was like, here's the deal. Go do stand-up comedy before next class, it was Thursday when he said it. He said, don't come to class Monday if you didn't do stand-up comedy, and I'll refund you your money. I've never refunded a student their money, but I'll specifically give you your money back. But the deal is I don't want to ever see you again. And like the next 2 days, I didn't know anything about open mics or nothing. So I'm Googling Google everything. I YouTubed how to do stand-up comedy. Shit you not. Googled, YouTube, all that, how to do stand-up comedy. And the Corley guy, I can't think of his first name, something Corley. He's like here in Burbank or something. I looked at a lot of his videos just to how to do it. You have to have a premise, you have to have a setup, you have to have a punchline. And so yeah, I learned how to do stand-up comedy in 2 days, which you never really learn how to do it. You just always, it's constant school. It's an art that you can learn forever.
Yeah,
So
bombing 30 times and then bombing again.
oh my God, it was bad. I heard crickets one time. Like legit, it was bad. But it's funny looking back now. It's a comedian. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm going out of order because I can just talk.
Oh, you good? You good? I'm listening. I'll jump in. No,
Okay.
well, I was gonna ask what kind of like kid, what kind of kid were you? Like even like in like elementary school, like what were you
Uh,
into? Were you a good student? What were you
I was a
into?
brat. Oh my God, I was a spoiled brat. You gotta think. My mom had a pretty good job, and whatever from my father's passing. So we were like suburb kids, like, I was a brat. My mom worked all the time. Like I never really, like, I saw my mom 5 minutes a day type. That's it. So I've always had a special relationship with TV and movies because actors and actresses raised me. Like I was one of those kids who lived like everything I saw in TVs and movies because I didn't have no one was watching me. So it was like Jim Carrey was like my favorite uncle. Like Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was like my dad. Like Aunt Viv was like my mom. Like, so it sounds fucked up. Can I? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if I
No,
can
you
use
good?
that.
You good?
Okay. It sounds very messed up or whatever, but I was vicariously raised by sitcoms and movies.
I feel a little bit similar, and that's not really. I'm not blaming my parents for that, or even saying that's 100%. That's really just all I was raised on. But like all suburban kids, I think to some degree seem like we are raised on media. We're raised on sitcoms and TV, especially from the 90s, early 2000s, even 80s, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all brats. We're definitely all brats to some degrees. If you were a kid growing up in the suburbs, some kids are just nicer kids, more well-adjusted and whatever. But for the most
Mm-hmm.
part, and definitely at times for sure, like we're all we were all little brats. And
Oh
looking
yeah.
back, like
I, I was this person. I was super small. Like now I'm, 6 foot, 175 pounds. Like I'm a bigger person now, but I didn't grow until my 11th grade of high school. Like before that, I was the kid on the first row of every school picture every year. Like
yeah,
I was
I'm waiting for
the
my growth spurt.
fuck it. Fuck it. That's what we're doing. We're still waiting. Puberty 2023.
Right, so you can have a second puberty if you, I think I can do whatever I want.
It's
2023, you
called
know this.
menopause.
Oh, I guess maybe I don't want that.
No, no, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Go on.
I was a super brat. I was very wordy. I got into fights every single day just from just talking shit to people because I like to talk shit about people, like about the obvious, which, you know, you can hurt a kid's feelings easily or whatever. Like, I don't know, but I was hurt. Hurt people, you know. I
Sure.
did. So that was my way of expressing it, was just talking noise to people, and they'd kick my ass and I would talk more noise the next day. Like, that was the cycle, just over and over again until like high school. And then I grew up and got, you know, football, weight room. It was like, oh, okay. Now you fight, fight, fight. Don't just get your ass kicked all the time.
What do you I mean, remember you said your mom was working all, you know, a lot of the time when you're, I guess, in middle school and just growing up. But
Yeah.
what do you, like, looking back now, like how did like you're, I'm guessing you're more more appreciative of her. Like maybe you weren't
Well,
as much at the time.
yeah. Sorry. Of course. And this is gonna sound bad, but fuck it. I'm a suburb kid who grew up on sitcoms. But would you rather have the time or the money? You know, like, would you rather have your parents' time or just a lot of stuff? Just everything. Just, I don't know. I think looking back, yeah, we say we would want the time, but at the moment, no. At the moment, you want all the stuff. See you later. Just leave the money on the dresser. You know,
Right.
hey, the kid, can I drive your car tonight? I'm, you know, after the football game, we're all meeting up at Chili's. You know, like, oh, I need money for that too. Like, it was crazy because I don't want to. I don't want to say too much, but I'm just like, man, it's crazy looking back. Now you miss those opportunities, but then again, at the same time, the person that I became came spawned from that person. So I only have these stories, and I mean, I consider myself a pretty funny person. I only obtained this type of funniness from that kid, you
Right,
know.
right. Yeah, you are like, yeah, no, I'm sure you probably weren't even as bratty as you maybe you're describing now, but like,
No,
you
I
know,
was.
you became the person you are today and the funny person you are today from some of these lessons and maybe even missteps and even messed up attitude or whatever attitude and attitudes you had as a kid, you know, growing up. So that kind of like, you know, makes you who you become.
Yeah. And I don't know, I'm honest too. I think that's probably, I'm honest to a fault. You know, like, we're not supposed to say we'd rather have the money than the love or the time. We're not supposed to say that.
You
We're
know what,
supposed
kid?
to, you
Yeah,
know,
I was gonna say, you know what kids want, and teenagers and myself probably, and what it is. We want what's best for us at the present time. We don't really see the big picture as kids, and we don't see anything from any other people's perspective as much. So, like, I think that's
yeah.
really what it is. You think the world revolves around me, you know, yourself, myself, whatever it is. So it's like
Mhm.
you want, yeah, you want like the car, you want the material item or whatever, but you probably also wanted your mom's attention at certain times and you wanted like even help, like just whatever, like you didn't even think
Well,
about it. You
yeah,
just taking mom for granted. It's like, yeah, I want the car, but I also want your attention. You listen,
it
I want you to listen to me
balance,
when I, yeah.
balance. And now that I'm a parent, it's I realize that it's balance. That's all it is because I spend a lot of time in the comedy clubs, but also I spend a lot of time with my, well, the second kid is only like 7 weeks. It'll be 2 months tomorrow. On Sunday, it'll be 2 months.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. So, uh, just strictly, mostly speaking from my first kid, just one kid. He's 5. I literally spend so much time with him. Like, he's like my little brother almost, because I didn't have a brother growing up. So he's like my son, my homie, and my brother all wrapped in one. He's just like me. Like, everything he does is just like me. And so it's balance, and it's more rewarding knowing that I was able to go do 3 mics and also take my son to the park. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm gonna lose on the back end of sleep. I know that. I'm sacrificing sleep for balance. So
Yeah. And what brings you joy and makes you happy? When you were in high school, what how tell me more about that, I guess, because you said you were starting to get into sports and work out and like and maybe come into your own. Is that kind of like what was going on in those years?
yeah, I was big into clothes and shoes. Like that was me. Like I'm still like that. It's ridiculous. It's an addiction. I know it, and I don't want to work on it. I don't plan on working on it. I'm just gonna work harder to fuel it more. It's a healthy
So
addiction.
you can get more of those things.
Oh man. Oh my goodness. I think what are we in Friday, and I'm at 2 pair of shoes this week. Just that's not a lot because I know people, everybody can be like, I know people, and some people are like, man, I didn't get 2 pair of shoes last year. But it's a terrible addiction. But I get it from my mother. My mother, she had a shopping addiction. Uh, so it's genetics at this point. My grandmama, I'm pretty sure that she was buying a lot of burlaps pants too,
There's
and
worse things to
bloomers.
spend money on.
Yeah,
It's important to have comfortable, durable, high quality footwear and clothing for similar reasons.
I think so. I think so. High school, man. High school was fun. I won. You know how they have the who's who, like who's who, most popular, most
Yeah,
funny,
what do they
most
call
this.
those? The superlatives? Is that what they're called? Something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I won the best dress, of course. Um, I could have won so many of them, but I chose that one because it was the most important to me. But yeah, I was a brat. I'm still a brat to this day. That's my whole thing on like, and this is I have a mentality like everything's gonna be. It's nonchalant. Everything's gonna be okay. Like just have fun. Like
Yeah, you're a brat.
everybody around me has died. Like I have no emotion left in me. Like just have fun. You're gonna die one day.
Yeah, it's very. I'm like putting the pieces together of why you're you, and that all makes like a lot of sense. You're a self-aware Brad who lives life to the fullest, with good
Yeah, hey,
reason,
you
obviously.
just wrote my title to my life.
Yeah, you're welcome. You could use that.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Your website will be updated.
Dude, I think a lot of people should be more honest, especially about who they are.
It's so
Everyone has
hard
this
though.
facade. Everyone has a facade.
I don't even feel like I have a facade, but like I'm like I know I don't have a facade.
Everyone has a representative.
Right.
So
I got a few of them for different situations.
of course,
They're not all
of
that different, but they're a little different, certainly.
hey, listen, I'm a black man from Texas. Depending on what room I'm in, or what neighborhood, or what county line I'm in, I might be Republican or I might be Democrat.
Yeah, you're changing your whole ideology, not just like you're the words you use, your tone, or the way you
I'll
speak, or the
switch
words you
a
say.
hat in a minute and be like, come on, Bob Lee.
Yeah, especially if they're gonna hire you for some kind of gig, a corporate gig,
Of course.
any sort of thing like that.
That's funny, man.
What Dave
But
Chappelle said he was bilingual, I think. What did he say? Depending on where if
oh
he's in
yeah,
a room with the executives or if he's with his homies.
that's funny. That's true. That's true. We all have different facades. That's it, man.
But you've been
But
through some shit, so you're able to just be like, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna just be me, whatever. And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
cool. That's inspiring.
Yeah, it also has its drawbacks too. Like you can also be your own worst enemy.
Right when you were saying you're like, my son is just like me, or plus something like that. I'm like, is that a good thing?
So I'm like, it could be,
Right,
oh my God, it's
a human thing.
yeah. So Self-sabotage is big. I'm a big self-sabotager. So I like to present myself with my own roadblocks and pretend like I don't know how to go around them. That's fun.
What's
That's
that?
fun.
What's the psychological reason behind people who do that?
Subconsciously, people do stuff just to make life more thrilling. That's why people climb mountains. Like, what's the logic behind that? Just to do shit, you know?
Self-sabotage is a way a cop out, so you don't have to deal with failure or confront failure, like, or something like that. Is that
Yeah,
maybe what it is?
yeah.
Yeah, I get that. What about going into like junior, senior high school? Where did you think like your life would be going, or what were the plans? College or working or?
Um, I was playing football, running track, and you every kid has those dreams, but I also knew what a reality was too, and the likelihood of going to any league, that's you're talking about the top 1% of athletes from every school in America. So I went to college. I ended up going to college, and senior year, I just got into some trouble, and I stopped playing football and running track, and got in trouble. I chose a different route in life. Just stupid. Didn't have any parental, advisory. I'm not saying I didn't, but
You
and
ignored the parental advisory. Probably. What the parental advisory would have preferred, that what you ignored, what you knew the parental advisory advice in the situation would have been.
I mean, of course, but what can you do? You're young, and
Right.
your parents are gonna coach you to a point and then be like, you're gonna make your own mistakes and then you're gonna learn from them. Like, my mother would never let me fall, but she would let me bump my head. You know what I mean? Like, she would save me, but she would also like watch me like have to like figure it out on my own first. So, like I said, I got into a little trouble, whatever, with some dumb stuff, but ended up going to college, didn't finish, but I went. That was fun. It's full of women.
Where was your life headed, like professionally or whatever at that point? Like,
I was doing like a lot of music production at that time. Like, I had crossed over into like doing like beats and things like that, and then because my mom would purchase me stuff, I told her like I just want to go to the Guitar Center, buy like a beat machine, like recording, like Pro Tools, computer, laptop, just got all the stuff and just started going around to people's houses who were like rappers and just started recording them, like just making money like that, which was pretty tight.
this is all in
And then,
Texas.
yeah, all in Texas. At this point, that was in high school in Dallas. And then when I moved to Houston, after high school, I kept doing it. And, it worked my way into a lot of uh, rooms, because you're coming to people. Like, I don't have to leave my house. Like, yeah, okay. And you're not really charging me nothing. I'm in your presence, and you know how many people I'm gonna meet just from being around you. So of course I'm not gonna charge you because I'm making the money from everybody else around you. So I worked my way into doing that, and then I stopped doing beats and started doing video production because I was like, that's where the real money is in like music videos and stuff like that. And so I got a camera and started shooting videos.
In the
Crazy, man.
Houston,
I've done everything
this was in the, like,
in
basically
Houston.
in the hip hop rap scene, essentially in Houston mostly.
Hmm.
What is that? What is that scene like? What does that scene compare? I'm always interested in like the different music scenes and the different comedy
Where are
scenes
you
in
from?
different cities. I'm from Long Island originally, from New York, but I've been in LA a long
Okay.
time now, a couple
Okay.
of
So,
decades coming up.
like UGK, Bun B, Pimp C, Paul Wall, Slim Thug.
No, I don't know anything.
Jeez.
I listen to music from like 1965 to
Okay.
1979.
So it's basically like slowed down music. Like it's called screwed. That's what it's called. You Google it after this or YouTube it. You'll listen to it, and of course you'll want to like bang your ears out because you'll be like, "What is this? The tape deck's broken." But no, it's that's what Houston culture music is. It's called screwed music, where they just take a normal song but just slow it down. Because the idea behind it was allegedly, it sounds good when you're sipping on your lean. Do you know what lean is?
Some kind of cocktail,
Yeah,
like purple drink, but a different color.
yeah, that's what the word is allegedly.
I was gonna ask if is there an associated cocktail with the scene, but I didn't want to. I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
I didn't want to be presumptuous.
yeah.
But
So,
that's also kind of a Texas South thing, just like generally, like just a slower down thing, whether it's like rap or hip hop or
you just saying lifestyle period? Just
I think
everything.
so. Like sometimes I'll be on like I'll be either listening to a podcast with someone from the South or I'll be talking to someone from the South and I'll get like almost like not annoyed, but that's too strong a word. But I'll be like, come on, we gotta like move it along. Like I'm like
I get what
fucking
you're saying.
fast talking New Yorker, but I can chill too. But like, yeah, sometimes when people talk slow, I'll listen to a podcast on 2x speed. Sometimes I'll speed up the podcast
That's funny.
if the guest is talking slow. They got that option on YouTube and on these apps.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's Texas culture. It's like laid back, you know.
What's in that drink?
What, this one?
No, no, the one though the Houston hip hop rap scene.
Oh, it's allegedly like
Allegedly.
you gotta put that word in front of everything. It's like allegedly it's promethazine. It's like cough syrup.
Yeah, codeine or whatever, right?
And
That's the
yeah,
kind of stuff.
and
Yeah.
your drink of choice. So like a Fanta, a pineapple Fanta. You can do that. Just
I see. As opposed to the purple Kool-Aid, it's just or is that what
yeah,
that's a purple
yeah.
drink? Yeah, I got you. Well, you know what? I mean, I may have radical views compared to the rest of most of society on this, but I think this should be perfectly legal. And if it was legal, purple drink and this other drink, like
Oh
you'd
no,
probably
it
see
shouldn't be legal. No,
no, it should be because then it would be more not regulated, but it would be more in the open, and you know what you're getting. I would think in a free market, but people would still abuse it. But at least you would abuse it with the knowledge of what exactly the hell is you're
I mean,
consuming.
that's human nature though. Like think about it. How many times have you driven over 100 miles an hour with the knowledge that if this car crashes, I'm dead? Several times probably.
That's straightaway on the way to Vegas where you see, that one? There's that one
Any one of them.
straightaway.
When I
Yeah.
first got my car, I allegedly raced. It was a Lamborghini and a Jaguar, and it was another car. I can't remember. I think it was like a Hellcat. We were on the 110 from downtown to Long Beach. We probably averaged 125 the whole way. The Lamborghini, of course, was just gone. He probably was allegedly doing 170. But yeah,
You can't be doing none of that anymore though, Pops.
But with the knowledge that if anything goes wrong, that's what I'm saying. We abuse life every day.
Yeah. I do maybe not, but that's higher risk than other forms of even mental abuse or mental whatever kind of emotional abuse, whatever that could be. Yeah, don't you're father now. You can't be out there. If I see you on the one,
Well, no, that was younger me. That was when I could afford to do it. Now I'm not. Being a comedian, I guess, is some. Do you get nervous before you go on stage?
I'm not a comedian.
Oh, okay.
I just produce the show, and I just love stand-up
You've
comedy.
never done stand-up comedy?
just that like what do they call it? Like a class. I did like a seminar kind of thing. But
Oh,
no,
okay.
I kind of hosted a show before, but I didn't do like bits in between the comedians, but I did kind of
Have you
intro
ever
them.
thought about it?
Of course, I thought about it, and of course I wrote a little bit, but like I don't I like this doing. I think this is better suited for me, the conversational stuff and producing the stand up comedy, and I'm more on the filmmaking side, also writing, directing.
Okay.
That's I like it's too hard. It's not. I don't let you guys. I'll let you guys handle it.
Okay. Sounds
Maybe
sounds
maybe shits and giggles and open mic or something like that. I've thought about like almost wanting to do like an open mic or like with like some kind of like a friends thing, a bunch of group of friends, like write material, like some real inside joke kind of stuff. Like that might be fun to like do, but I'm not like trying to ever do anything. But why do you ask?
Oh, I mean, I like to ask. So I know people that do photography for comedy. I know people that like you produce shows, and I know people that do different things outside of the actual act of stand-up comedy, but within stand-up comedy. You know what I mean? And I like to ask them,
Oh, the nervous on stage thing.
have they ever thought about doing it? Because and most of the time the answer is just like yours, where they say that I've written some stuff down. I got some stuff written down, but and I'd be like, just take the next step. Like that's how I started. I started just like that. Like I had stuff like silly thoughts. I would jot silly thoughts down. And but I just never had that gumption to go do stand-up comedy until someone literally pushed me off the edge.
That's what it's gonna take, to be honest with you. Like, cause like, well, I do sometimes enjoy going to open mics, just the pure freak show of it. But it does sometimes tempt me because I'll see someone really bad and be like, I could probably do better than that. Like I would have to be pushed. I'd have to like go with a friend or something like that. But like, it's not something I'm actively pursuing. But for shits and giggles, I suppose it might be something I'd be open to.
The craziest thing about the coach, his name was Dustin Felder. He was, pretty big time. He was a child actor, and then he became a coach, and he was doing the Marlon show, the Marlon Wayne. He was coaching them. He did Will Smith and Jaden in the Karate Kid, I think, or yeah, one of those movies.
Just
He was their
coach the
coach.
actors,
Yeah,
coaching the
yeah.
actors in those films.
So, he told me go do it, and he told me the reason why is because that's my in. Because remember, it was an acting class I had never done. So he was like, stand-up comedy is your in into the industry. And I remember when after I was doing comedy for about a year or whatever, I got noticed by a company. I don't want to, say any company names or anything because I don't know if you can say stuff, but they wanted to sit down and have a meeting with me. And I remember I wanted to tell him, like, hey, look what happened. I got my in, and he died.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
That blew. I was like, how did the person who told me to go do this, like, I went to his memorial service and everything. It was crazy because he was young. He was like 39, like not even 40, just. And I was like, oh my God. And it was sad. And I remember his I forgot what it's called, the teacher under the head teacher, but I was talking to him, and I was like, man, it's crazy. It seems like he lived long enough to kind of encourage a bunch of students to do this. And because everyone has a date already, so he just, some people use your time wisely on earth. What can you give? And he gave me like a new shot at life, because before I was doing comedy, I was like a chef, like just in restaurants, working in restaurants, things like that. And that's how I ended up in LA, was because the company I was working for moved me out here to open up some new restaurants or whatever. And so I would go to the corporate kitchen in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I would learn this concept and then go and have to teach it to another restaurant and train people. And so I ended up in LA and I fell in love with LA. I was like, coming from Houston, especially from rainy Hurricane Houston, coming to LA, oh my God. Oh my God. And then I was living in Santa Monica because I was living in the, companies like apartments and things like that. I didn't know anything outside of Venice, Santa Monica, the Pacific Palisades, and Malibu when I first moved here. I
That's still
didn't know.
normal. That's still normal for all people who live in LA, or many people don't know anything about other than the neighborhood they live in. No matter what neighborhood you live in, too.
Yeah.
You only know where your area.
Legit. So, and I think it was like a thing where I was making a shit ton of money, of course. And you still feel money isn't everything. I'll start by saying that it's not. We think it is, but it's really not. Because I was making a lot of money, but I was just empty. Like I didn't feel like fulfilled. That sounds so cliche, yada yada yada.
Well, how do you think things become cliches?
Oh yeah.
There you go. I follow.
So that's how I ended up. It was one of those things like, how you're on social media and it was a seminar for acting class. And I was like, I'm gonna go to it on Saturday. And I went to the seminar and was like, I'll do this. And I went to my job and was like, I don't want to be a supervisor anymore. I don't want to be this position anymore. I want to downgrade to just a regular cook and just work these set hours, because as when you're a certain position, you're working 12-hour shifts. Like that's your life pretty much. And so I was like, no, I just want to work like 6 hours. And they were like, so what else are you going to do? I was like, I'm going to be an actor. And they laughed. They laughed in my face. He didn't even put in my request because he said, I can't be serious because it's too expensive in LA. I didn't know how expensive it was because, like I said, I wasn't paying any rent. They was paying it for me. So I didn't know anything about LA. And that's when I had to move to Crenshaw. And that's when I learned what LA really was. I was like, this is not Santa Monica no more.
You're not in Kansas anymore.
No.
So that acting seminar that you went to was with Dustin Felder, that one?
Yeah.
And what year was this? This was 6 years ago or something, you said?
This had to be 17 because I didn't move here until 16.
Yeah, whatever, 6-7 years ago. And he passed. I got it right here. He passed in 2019. It looks like. So you had you been in touch with him after your class up until the time he passed at all?
So when I didn't go to his class until it had to be 2018 then. It had to be because I was doing the chef thing for a while. And yeah, so it had to be 2018. And I was taking the actual, because when you're doing the intro class, you don't go straight to the head guy. You go to his understudy. That's what it's called, his understudy. Sure. And not to, make it sound like it's less, because the guy was still really great with great credits or whatever. But his name's Kears, by the way. And so I was taking classes with him, and Dustin would drop in on the classes just to kind of see, how's it going? And he would drop in on the classes every session. And also to monitor, I guess, his understudy. And that's when I did it wasn't a joke, it was a story, but, he took it as a joke. And he told me to, go do comedy. So I think I stayed in class probably another 5 or 6 sessions, and I had the comedy bug. So I abandoned that, and I just started doing comedy. Like, oh my God, I would go start at 5 o'clock, and I wouldn't stop until like 11 o'clock every night. Like, it was ridiculous, the addiction I had. or have to stand-up comedy. But back then when you're first starting, oh my God, it's a drug.
I believe it. Did Dustin ever get a chance to come out to any of your shows or
No,
performances or anything like that?
no. I
Did he know
emailed
he knew?
him.
Oh, that's what I was gonna ask. What was your correspondence like?
Yeah, I emailed him a set one time or whatever. And, he was like, "Oh, good job, good job." And he was like, stay with. This was after I had left, his school or whatever. But he was just always encouraging, like, stick with it, like that you're in. And it's crazy that I literally thought he lived long enough to drop that knowledge on me, and you know, but that's how life works sometimes. You have
Yeah,
guardian
no,
angels.
yeah, no, for sure. That's super cool that you got a chance to know him and connect with him. And it's funny because my podcast is called People Who Love. I'm talking about asking you who inspires you and this and that. And I'm like having the conversation. I'm like, oh, maybe I could clip something with his mom or his sister or something like that, or maybe one of these hip hop artists he's worked with. And then I'm like thinking to myself, this guy's on his website. Dustin Felder's on your website as someone who's inspired you, and that's something like you're not going to like forget like for the rest of your career and life, like that. This, even
No,
if it finds its way off your website, you're gonna know like the first time you got into comedy.
his name will never leave my
Brain.
story. It will
Yeah.
never leave my story. Another person, and I don't know if I'm like running over time, but
Oh, you good?
it's crazy. Okay, so the second person is was a lady named Cassie Dang. Uh I was at the Comedy Store. This was before I started doing stand-up comedy. I was, like I said, I was always the person who would write funny stuff down in my phone, and I would hang out around comedy clubs like the Comedy Store, the Improv. I would just hang out around there because I never had the courage to try stand-up. So I was there. It was a Thursday night, like Crack 'em Up Thursday, and I was sitting on the couch, and an Asian lady came and sat down next to me. I'm saying that because I didn't know who she was at the time. She came and sat down next to me, and so we were watching the show. She keeps turning around and looking at me, and I'm not thinking anything of it. And so eventually, after about 10 minutes, she says, "Who are you?" And she's like, "I'm really trying to recall your face." She was like, "You look familiar, but I don't know who you are." And she said, "Only people who are somebody sit right here." Like, so this is like meaning the people who sat you thought you were somebody to sit you in these seats. And so I was like, "Oh, my name's Dwight, and I'm a stand-up comedian." That's how I introduced myself to her. I'm Hollywood talking her right now, not knowing how connected in stand-up comedy she is. So she was like, "Let's talk outside," not knowing how connected she is in stand-up comedy. So we go outside in the back of the Comedy Store where like the comedians hang out or whatever, and it's every celebrity comedian you can think of outside on the patio, like having smoking cigarettes or whatever. It's everyone you could think of, named wise. And so she's just casually talking to him, and she's like, "Hey guys, this is Dwight. He's about to be no, he this is Dwight. He's a stand-up comedian." And everybody's talking to me like I'm a stand-up comedian, not knowing I had just lied to them.
Well,
And
what
so
you hadn't started at all
I
at this
had
point?
not done stand-up comedy one time at this point.
Oh,
I was just hanging out around them. So this is why you also should just be honest. So she's introducing me to everybody. So we go, they also have another bar like down in the back, and Chappelle was down there, like the coolest person you could possibly think of. Like when I say will talk to anyone as if they're just anyone. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, just conversation. Like, yeah, look at this shit. Like, look, like the Lakers. Like, oh my God, look at the Lakers. Like, and he'll start the conversation like, I remember when basketball had this and that. Now you're in a normal barbershop conversation with someone who, if I could just start the conversation, so how did you get into comedy? How did you do? Everything would be about comedy, but the conversation he's having is just normal. Like, so we're talking, everybody's talking, whatever. And then she's like, oh, all right. She was about to leave. And so we're walking outside, we're walking down the sunset on the sidewalk. And I was like, I'm gonna be honest, I've never done stand-up comedy a day in my life, but I'm gonna be the greatest stand-up comedian that ever existed.
You said that?
I said that to her. She looked at me and said, you know something? I believe you. And that sparked something in me. Because at this point, Dustin hadn't told me to go do stand-up yet. So it was almost like I planted the seed and he watered it, and like she planted the seed and was like, I believe you, even though you never done it and you basically lied to me. And so we exchanged information and she was like, hit me up when you start, like, or whatever. And so fast forward over the years, the past 5 years I've been doing comedy, she's like watched me. Like, she's even been judges at some competitions that I've been in and stuff like that. And of course, if I'm performing, sometimes she have to be like, I can't vote because that would be like, a conflict of interest because we're so cool or whatever. But she watched me grow and she watched things I was receiving. And she was like, man, you really did say you were going to be the greatest stand-up comedian to ever live. And you're like working towards it. Like, I am it, but I'm working towards it, the journey. And she died last year.
Oh my goodness. What the?
She was like 35, 36. Just
damn, tragic.
Everyone in the comedy community knows her. She had a memorial at the Improv that I went to. It was, of course, capacity, and the Improv holds a lot of people.
Damn, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I was like, the two people that, it's just crazy. And I'm like, man, my son's knocking on the door. I guess he wants to get into his room.
Oh yeah, we'll wrap it up soon. I wanted to ask you one more thing about when you were that night where you were pretending to be a stand-up comedian. Mm-hmm. You must have had like you must have been funny, I guess is what I'm saying. That you must have been like cool to hang out with, at least like up until the point where you know what I mean. Like you must have like done a good job too, like being like funny or entertaining for her to like.
I think everyone sees something in someone else. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you can't see your life. You can only live your life, but you can't see your life. Whereas everyone around you can see your life. So they can see what you should or shouldn't be doing.
How come I can't see myself? How come we can't see?
That's because you have internal conflict. People looking at you don't have internal conflict about you. They're just going off of conscious.
Take a lot of mushrooms and then see myself for how other people use that knowledge to benefit myself. That's good. That's good. That's inspirational stuff, though, and tragic stuff all around. But
that's comedy. Did you know that? That's the true definition of comedy.
And very much your story, or at least big part of your story. Yeah, that's good stuff. Inspirational though for me overall to hear you talk about the people who've inspired you and to hear your inspirational and at times hilarious journey as well. I try to remember to ask everyone one more random ass question. Ghost, aliens, do you believe in these things? Have any experiences with either? UFOs included.
Ghost, alien. I wouldn't call them ghosts. I guess spirits or beings. Aliens, I don't believe in.
No, you don't believe that they exist or that they've been here or any of the above?
No.
You think it's just life on this planet and that's basically it?
Yeah, because it's your own. We gotta have another talk, bro.
I think it's possible. I think you're in the minority with that belief, though, just because the universe is so big.
This is a simulation, bro. You're creating your own game in your head.
Well, that's for sure.
That's it. Whatever you put out into the world, until you speak, it will happen, good or bad. So don't speak negative in your life, because that
I'm coming
will
more
come.
around on that type of neuro-linguistic type thought or whatever, like thoughts are energy and whatever kind of thing. But what about the ghosts?
I mean, if you want to say ghosts / spirits, yeah, I fucks with them.
Any experiences? But you're just saying you're open to.
I'll tell you a quick story. I know you got to go. I'll tell you a quick story. I was 11 or 12. I probably was 12 years old. My mom was at the beauty shop. And I was a snooper. We had, I'm a kid. Okay. Can you hear me?
Your mic disconnected. You were a snooper, you said?
Yeah, I was a snooper. Like, I just looked through everything. I don't know, just picture books, everything. Like, just go through all of the cabinets. I don't know, weird kid, right? And so I'm in the coat closet in the hallway, and I'm looking through a photo album, like a photo bag, and it's an old like camera from like the 80s or something. And it's film, like actual film, like strips. And so I'm holding them up to the light, looking at them, and it's my dad and all his army buddies, like just on tanks, like just posing, like just doing funny stuff, just being guys. And so I'm looking through it, and I pull out one that was it was in little tubes. They used to come in little tubes or whatever. And I pull one out, and as I'm pulling it out, I look up, and my dad's walking towards me in his army uniform. Like,
dude,
he's walking towards me. This is how real it was. I got up, ran, called my mom. I said, somebody's in this house.
How old were you?
12. I was too old to be that scared, but
no, I was gonna say too old to like to not be believed or something like that. Or you're old enough for me to like kids can imagine things, I guess, but like 12 years old, like.
So my mom came home. She still had the smock on because I told her someone's in the house. She hung up. She came home with shit still in it, like the smock on. And she saw all the stuff like on the ground still, because I wasn't going back in the hallway. And I actually met her outside. I'm not in that house anymore. And so we go in there because I told her someone's in the house. And so she sees the camera bag and she says, "Oh, this is your dad's camera bag. I hadn't opened this ever." Like, that was the first time it had been opened since he opened it. Crazy.
That is crazy. And I don't know, man. I believe that. I don't know. I just believe you.
I let him out.
And I've heard, basically, and I've heard of other people have similar experiences, like and whatnot, and even like reporting similar type stories, like when the elderly pass away or whatever. I think there's like when they're close to dying, they see other relatives or who passed or something like that. Like, who knows what the hell's going on. But I definitely appreciate your time and all the stories. Good stuff all around. Anything you want to plug or promote or mention, I'll give you the floor to do that.
Just follow me on Instagram, Dwight DWIGHT Pryde PRYDE, on all other platforms as well. It's a grind. This comedy thing is a marathon, not a sprint. That goes with pretty much anything other than sprints.
Yeah, man. Good stuff all around. Thank you again. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me,
hilarious,
Adam.
dude. I'm gonna look forward to coming out and seeing you perform again.
I'm at Flappers Sunday. It's on my IG right now. So yeah, come out if you're near Burbank.
Oh, cool. I'm not too far. I'm in the Valley in Sherman Oaks over here. I'm not gonna dox. I got to be careful not to dox myself here, but
right.
Sweet, man. I appreciate it, and let's talk more soon for sure.
All right, man. See you again.
Oh, you got it. Peace. So there you go. Episode 141 with Dwight Pryde. That was super fun. Definitely appreciate his time. Funny stories, tragic stuff all around, but also inspirational stuff. We covered it all. Got the whole range of emotions. Proud dad. He's being a good dad right as we're recording, taking care of business over there. But I hope everyone is doing okay out there. Please head to peoplewelovepodcast.com for anything and everything related to this show. All the social media links are there. It's at People We Love Podcast on Instagram. I'm at Adam Choit on Instagram and Twitter. AdamChoit.com. You can find all my other projects and personal stuff and my other podcasts on there. But I think that's about all I got for today. I appreciate you guys listening. Thank you as always, and let's talk soon. Peace.